I've shown the implementation of an algorithm that takes better care of me than I can, which means it's inevitable for everyone.
You've spoken before about novel forms of consciousness, and I was hoping we could speak about that briefly. Firstly, what did you mean by that?
If you go through a thought experiment when you say, let's imagine we're talking to Homo erectus, who lived 1 million years ago. They had an axe. The axe had not been innovated for 1 million years. And we say, all right, Homo erectus, let's play an imagination game. Imagine that you evolve as an intelligent form, and we look forward into 1 million years. What do you think that species is doing? It would have...
I mean, I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess.
Right. Highly unlikely, they'd be like, things most likely have a Heisenberg uncertainty principle, like there's this quantum effect in the universe, or there's this thing DNA that's replicating itself, or it's so far removed from a possibility of a conversation with Homo erectus. And if we sober ourselves up and we say we're in this time and place, we have some interesting accomplishments. We should feel proud of those things. Also, we should not get ahead of ourselves. And if we say we're now walking into an era of human where our technological progress is at a speed that by far passes anything we've ever experienced, and especially with artificial intelligence at the rate of its expanse, there's no reason why we should cap any possibility. Our imaginations should be able to be as broadly out in the horizon as any time in history and be absolutely practical and reasonable.
So looking into your crystal ball, what might be some of the scenarios of which this novel experience of consciousness could take? Do you have an idea or a hope or a dream of what we might be talking about?
Yeah, so I like this idea of what if the future was the following: nowhere to go, nothing to be, no one to become. What if the future of existence was the exact opposite of everything we imagine to be worth living? And that to me sets the boundary conditions. We assume that life is forward momentum. We assume life is progress. We assume it's in one direction. But what if the future was that? And to me, that's the openness of mindset we need to have, where we are stepping into this river of progress with artificial intelligence. We cannot control where it's going to go. And we've seen once it enters the game and it starts applying its intelligence, it changes the game in minutes. It's instantaneous, and it's at a speed we've never seen before. And so to think that we somehow have the wisdom or the power of prognostication is foolish. So the best thing we can do is just put ourselves and make sure we're in the game and be willing to say, if the outcome is nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to become, like, we're in the game.
And what are the implications, not only for the individual, but also for society and us as a species? How do we begin to even get our head around what that future is going to look like?
A few years ago, I was in the Middle East with a Middle Eastern country, and he was telling me about his 2030 goals. This was in 2016. And I said, well, that's amazing. How would you ever plan for 2030 from 2016 from a country perspective when the world is changing at this speed? And he said, okay, cool, let's play, like, how would you think about it? I said, okay, let's have a thought experiment. Let's imagine we have 2 robots. We're trying to get to the distant stand horizon. This robot, we give it a topographical map and we say, all right, robot, go. We know in doing that path that the sands are going to shift and that robot will be stuck in the sand in a few minutes' time, nowhere to go. This robot, we say, okay, we're just going to give you the GPS coordinates, but no map. And we're going to give you the tools to move in the shifting sands. So we don't know what's going to happen. It can take any shape. We're just going to let you navigate. We as humans want to be the adaptability. We want to prioritize our ability to evolve and adapt as fast as possible, not having any idea where we're going. We're just going like in this direction roughly. And that's what Blueprint is trying to do with my body, is I've attached myself to this system of improvement, not knowing where it's going to go. It's a system that improves upon itself in a compounded way.
How has technology, specifically AI and neurotech, how are the developments there changing what your initial goal was for what you're trying to achieve here? Is it you're constantly refining what is possible? I'm really interested to know the interplay between technology and the breakthroughs we're seeing and your personal life.
I never imagined before my current speed of aging is slower than the average 10-year-old. We look at 10-year-olds, we don't think they're aging, but they actually are. We accumulate aging damage throughout our entire life. So I never imagined that at a 45-year-old chronological male that my speed of aging would be less than a 10-year-old. Blows my mind. But that's what we've shown with 2 years of Blueprint and other things too. But I never thought that we would be in a situation in my lifetime of slowing down aging that fast. And that's just bootstrapping with 2 years of effort.
And how quickly are those advances going to continue with the exponential increase in the technology we're seeing? I mean, can you even get a slight steer on what might be possible, not only in 10 years' time, but 20 years' time?
Exactly right. I love that question. We say, how good is our tech going to be in 20 years? We're excited. We love our technology. How good are you and I going to be in 20 years? We want the same level of excitement. I don't know, but it's going to be amazing because we've attached ourselves to this improvement curve and we're going to go along for the ride.
You're incredibly positive and optimistic about this, and I'm going to ask this question, try and probe to see what are the potential pitfalls, where are the dangers, are you concerned by anything about this?
It comes back to that primary problem of self-destructive behavior. When we commit to self-destructive behavior individually, we give license to do it to other people. So I can build a product in food or porn or name your thing, addict others to it, make money by doing it, and then society celebrates my endeavors. It all comes back to our willingness to inflict harm upon ourselves, each other, the planet Earth, and then our technology, our AI, mirrors that. And that's why I put the bullseye on that is if we can shift that if we can sober up and see that as the cause of these other things, we could change how we approach. And like this is, I guess, what I find hopeful is I think what we've shown with Blueprint is we built an algorithm that takes better care of me than I'm able. And when we show technological things like that, when we show that navigation systems are better than a paper map in the lab, or a calculator is better at math than we can do on paper and pencil, we adopt technology. I've shown the implementation of an algorithm that takes better care of me than I can, which means it's inevitable for everyone.
And what are your hopes for wider societal benefits from this? Because obviously you've got that empirical data now that shows it's working. How do you hope or dream that these breakthroughs are going to have an impact on anyone, from treating obesity, cardiovascular disease, degenerative brain diseases? I mean, the scope for improvement in healthcare must be massive. What's your hope for that?
It changes us as a species. Everything about being human changes.
And what does your idyllic version of the future look like? Say we are all able to optimize every single facet of our mental and physical health. What does the world look like? I'm fascinated to get your take on what you hope the world in which we live in the future will look like.
I understand reality as lucky us, we exist. Let's play infinite games. So I don't remember asking to exist, putting in a ticket. I just showed up and I'm here and it's fun. And I want to keep on playing the game. And so if we can just lock in and say, you know what, like we all exist here, let's just keep on playing the game together. And so let's put our best efforts into stopping the things that end the game and keep on playing the game. But this is, to me, is like the robot in the sand. We care about adaptability. We have no idea where we're going. You look at, for example, when AlphaGo played Lisa Dahl, right, a 19-time world champion, and changed the game of Go in one session. And observers said it was like a player from another dimension of geniusness. AI is going to come into our lives and introduce genius that is just going to be stunning. It's going to change everything for us. And so we cannot predict it. We can't foresee it. We can't model it. We can't anticipate it. We don't know. So the best thing we can do is just get ourselves prepared to go on a ride and be adaptable to the circumstances.
And how concerned are you with the democratization of these technologies? Because obviously a big concern is avoiding a world in which there's the haves and the have-nots, the people that have access to this technology and these breakthroughs and those that don't. How big a concern for you, Bryan, is it that we ensure that these kind of breakthroughs are available to all?
Your question is relevant. If you drop anything into today's world where basically like we accept violence and war and self-destructive behavior and we accept that humans are martyrs for the development of technology, if you drop into the world, all those questions are relevant. Like we are a violent species. We have been forever. Like we know what happens. If we became compassionate and we saw this self-destructive capacity as a flaw in our intelligence, we may build society very differently. And so when you look at society now and you try to map out the future, it's a discouraging thought. If you say there's some fundamental changes on how we behave to each other, I think it's a very different outcome. And this is why Blueprint to me is the culmination of what I've been thinking about for a decade, of what single thing could I do in life that could be beneficial in the 25th century. And it's showing a baby step that if I relinquish my mind's power, if I push it aside and empower other systems of me, in this case, my organs and biological processes, and they are in control, it produces a peaceful, positive world. And so what should we do about climate change? It's probably not pointing at the oil companies. It's probably not pointing at politicians. It's probably pointing at itself and saying, how can I fix the underlying problem that's happening? Relinquish our power. We think of our minds as the best problem-solving tool we have. That's how we've always thought about it. But our minds could be the nemesis that is leading us to our demise.
So do you feel we're currently looking for solutions to some of the world's biggest problems in the completely wrong place?
Exactly right. We focus on everything that we can see with our eyes. Meanwhile, our brain hides right behind the eyes. It's hiding in plain sight. It's the thing we protect from being viewed above all things. And it could be the answer to all of our problems.